Your license will be good for 2 years. It will expire on the last day of the month when it was issued. For example, a license issued today, November 5th, 2021, will expire on November 30th of 2023. Be sure to put that expiration date on your calendar, in your phone, anywhere you need, so you won't forget it. CSLB will send you a renewal notice in the mail approximately 60 days before it expires. But unfortunately, it is your responsibility to renew your license on time. Here are a couple of other important deadlines to keep in mind. First, notify CSLB within 30 days if you move or change your business address. Your renewal notice will be sent to the address of record that we've got on file. If you're not at that address anymore, you're probably not going to get it. Plus, the Postal Service will not forward state government mail. Finally, notify CSLB within 30 days of all changes to personnel on your license, especially when it involves the qualifier of the license. Once you get your license and get to work, you might want to have someone as a salesperson to solicit, sell, negotiate home improvement contracts on your behalf outside of your place of business. These people are called home improvement salespersons, or HIS. Without an HIS, the official personnel of record on a license are the only ones who can solicit, sell, negotiate, or execute a contract. That includes individual contractors, licensed qualifiers, partners, corporate officers, and LLC responsible managing officers, members, managers, or employees. An HIS can work for more than one contractor. The licensee must notify CSLB in writing when they either associate or disassociate an HIS with their license. There are a couple of exceptions to note. First, those who only schedule appointments for the contractor or registered HIS, and bona fide service and repair people. These are the folks you call out for repairs, including for things like air conditioning, heating, and plumbing. But those service and repair people are limited to the work that was initially requested by the buyer or homeowner. For example, if your AC unit goes out and you call an HVAC company to come out, the service person does not have to be a registered salesperson. But if they go beyond the repair itself and sell you a new HVAC system, they would have to be a registered HIS. Also, don't employ an unregistered salesperson. That subjects you to administrative discipline, and the salesperson might get a citation or possibly even a criminal misdemeanor. We've got a bonus link at the bottom of this page if you want to look at the actual code sections of law.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. That is our presentation. Now it's time to answer your questions. Question 1. I would like to start a business with the specific purpose of staining wood fences. I have been trained by the stain manufacturer. Is a contractor license required? If so, can I be covered by D64 non-specialist? That does not cover it. But for the specific of what classification you will need, I would recommend to send an email to classifications, that's plural, classifications @cslb.ca.gov. Over there are our deputies will respond to you, and you can keep that as in your formal documentation for future reference. Is credit given for work experience with the manufacturer, distributor of related products? Again, if you have engaged in repairing, altering, installing the equipment, that experience can be it can be verified, that can be used, but you have to have whether repair or modify or upgrade or install those equipments. If I have a Bachelor of Science in Architecture and currently obtaining an associate degree in construction management, will that equal 3 years of education? Ron, you want to take care of that?
Architecture, I don't have my chart exactly with me right now, but the associate degree in construction management is going to get you, I believe, the 18 months. The bachelor's, if you had that in construction management, that would get you the full 3 years if you're going for the B classification and most other classifications.
Yeah, but it won't be accumulated. So if we give you the highest, credit allowed, for example, here, if Bachelor of Science in Architecture is 2 years and the associate degree in construction management is 18 months, we will give you the 2 years for the highest one. We will not combine them.
Correct.
Currently on the job, wondering if this WebEx is a requirement for applying for contractors. No, this is just informational presentation. On educational slide, it states other associate in science, not in construction management. What is that exactly? Does that mean having an associate in any field will give you at least 6 months? That is correct. If you have the associate degree in art, for example, that will get you at least 6 months. Well, 6 months at most. That will get you 6 months. Where on the application do I indicate I'm applying for a C or D licenses? On the section 1, on the first page, item number 2 will ask you what classification you're applying for. So if I'm in deferred judgment, meaning my charges are going to be reduced and then expunged from my record, but I need my license now to get to work now because I have lots of bills and a family to support, am I going to be able to move past? Again, we don't know. It all case by case. So you should submit your application, and while we go through that process, your application will be active, and we will work on it. And if we need more documents, we will wait for that. But there is no answer, straightforward answer to that one. Is there any conflict of interest with your family member being the licensed advocate of your application? I.e., my father was my supervisor and is signing off that I completed all of the categories necessary for the license. No, there is no limitation on who can certify you. Anyone who has observed you do the work can certify you. I would like to apply for General B, but my employer doesn't have a General B license. Do I need someone else with a General B license to sign my work experience? As you see on the, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, anyone can sign for your General B experience as long as they have observed the work. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your employer, but it does have to be somebody who has firsthand knowledge of you performing that work.
How many licenses can an individual obtain from the CSLB, Ron?
Well, as a qualifier on the license, you can qualify up to 3 licenses in a year, as well as a sole owner. If under sole owners, you can have as many sole owner licenses as you want. A lot of people have one license and add multiple classifications to it. Some people want an individual license for each classification. So as a qualifier, you can be on 3. For sole ownerships, you can have as many sole ownership licenses as you want.
What are the main requirements that an applicant needs in order to be approved by the CSLB to take the General B license? You best is look at our classification descriptions on our website, but the General B license, they need have experience in framing and rough carpentry. That means they have to show they done a structural work plus 2 unrelated trades. So you got to have experience in framing, for example, concrete and electrical, plumbing. You need a combination of those, at least 4 years. I have a question regarding criminal history. I recently pleaded to any domestic once I complete. Yeah, regarding those, again, we are not, you say yes, again, you don't submit anything. Once we get that, if we need any documentation, we will ask you. So for now, just submit the application, answer those questions accurately, and if we need, disclosure, we will contact you. How soon will I be able to apply to a specialty license? Once the charges is dropped, I want to apply for signature review. Can you also please send me the link for the disclosure statement regarding criminal? Like I said, do not submit those disclosures. Once you submit your application, we will ask you to take a live scan, go get fingerprints. The fingerprints will go to DOJ and FBI. They will send us, the results. At that point, if we need anything, we will contact you. For my address, if I don't, section 1 for my, if I don't have a home address, what shall I list as my address? For section 1, there is a place for 2 addresses over there. That is, one is for, mail, which can be like a PO box, but we also require a physical address. So you have to have a physical address for your business, whether that's your residential address or some other address. What are the requirements for license renewal after 2 years? Ron?
Depending upon the classification, for the most part, it is repaying for your renewal fee for another 2 years on your license. However, they may require you to recertify whether you need workers' compensation or not. And for certain specialty classifications, such as the C22 asbestos classification, you may need to provide documents that show you're still registered with DOSH as an asbestos removal registration with them. As far as requirements, as far as recertifying your experience or anything like that, that isn't the case. You're paying for the renewal of the license you have, and then some additional documents depending upon the classification or recertification of your workers' comp status.
Thank you. Will construction trade classes on your transcript give you any credit, even if you have not completed degree or certificate program at the trade college? Yes. Our deputies will look at those, look at the curriculum, and give you some. But like I said, you will get the minimum for those, but you will get some. Section 4. Do you leave this section blank if you are sole property? Yes. If you don't have additional personnel to list, you don't need to submit that section. But if you are a sole owner and you haven't, for example, you're using a responsible managing employee to qualify you, then that person be on the first page and you will be on the second page. But those are rare situations. So if you only want personnel on the license, then section 4 is not needed. What are the experience requirements for the new B2 residential license? Experience in 3 trades. Can you expand? Ron, can you help with that?
It is 3 building trades. So once again, just as with all the others, it's going to be 48 months of experience, showing experience in 3 different building trades. So something like drywall, painting, plumbing. So for the B residential one, it's just going to show multi-trade experience as the regular B classification requires. It's just that the regular B classification requires as one of those trades to be something in carpentry or structural framing. This will be 3 additional building trades, not including the structural framing requirement.
Thank you. For the owner building, B general building construction experience, only filled out if you held the license. No, what it is you know, a lot of folks, they do experience. For example, they buy and sell their home. It's their homes. You know, they work on it, they buy it, they work on it, renovate it, and sell it. So, but there is no, those are the folks. So you don't have to already be a licensed contractor, but you need to show, you have to pull permits, and you have to show these on those project lists. And then our deputies will actually look at those, look at the permits, and then they decide that, you know, how much credit you will get for those. But no, you don't have to be a licensed contractor. Let's see. What are the experience we do for the owner building? Okay, when are you going to talk about license A? License A, again, we talked, it has related to fixed work projects. Yeah, you can look at our description on our website, and if you have any detail or specific questions, please send an email to classifications@cslb.ca.gov. I have an associate in HVAC from a community college. How many months of credit? Again, we are not going to get to details of those. Please submit that, and as we review, we will let you know. Does working as a 1099 paid worker for 6 years full-time qualify for the 4 years experience needed? That could be something to verify that experience. But again, once we see the certification of work experience, we actually look at the trade you perform. That is the qualifying. Now, if you're picked at 3% for random check, then those will come into play. Do we submit the application online or mail in? We are working on to put the applications online, but unfortunately right now is only mail in, or you can come to our front counter and drop it at the front counter. You can do it at our Norwalk office or Sacramento, but it has we don't have online application currently. Does building repairs on commercial buildings give you credit towards B2 classification? No, B2 classification is actually, as it says in the description, is working on the, you know, wood frame residential homes. If I had a live scan in the past, and since then all charges have been expunged or lowered and sealed, will the new live scan show all these? You know, again, you submitted. I can tell you what the DOJ or FBI is going to send to us. Once we get that, if there is, if you still have fingerprints with you, you know, if you're still somehow licensed with us, you're on any kind of license, then whatever happens, you know, DOJ and FBI let us know. But if you're not on the system, you have to get the new fingerprints. And then those new fingerprints, we once we receive the results from DOJ, if we need anything, we will request it. Does the work observed that is being certified need to have permits? Again, we may request for those. We may, for example, owner builder. Yes, we definitely require permits for those. Sometimes, again, when you pick for 3% random check, we may request those, but do not submit it unless you are owner builder with your application. What kind of proof or evidence does CSLB require applying for a general B license? Example, what kind of documentation is noted for? Again, if, go ahead, Ron.
I can take that one. So once again, the certification of work experience will be filled out by someone who has firsthand knowledge of the work that you have done, whether it's structural, rough framing. That person has firsthand knowledge of the trades that they are signing under proof of penalty or proof of perjury, that they have observed you performing this work. However, as Fahd mentioned before, a random 3% of all of our applications are done on a more detailed examination of the experience. At that time, they may require for that proof of experience projects that had permits and other examples of the work that was done in more detail or more information from the certifier. But for the initial application, we're looking for a signed document that states the trade work, be it structural framing and the other trades required for the B classification, that they were observed and the certifier has firsthand personal knowledge of that work being performed. And then we may require at a later time for more documents to verify that if that comes up in our 3% verification.
Thank you. If you're applying for a C license, do you still need to take the open book asbestos tests online, Ron?
Yes, all applicants will take the open book at asbestos. It is for general knowledge of every contractor. So yes, everyone will be taking that test regardless of the classification.
Does the experience have to be consecutive? We need 4 years, 48 months of experience in the last 10 years. Correct, Ron?
Correct. It doesn't have to be a consecutive 48 months. So in other words, you could have done 2 years worth of the experience 8 years ago, and you may have done 2 years worth of that same classification experience in the last 2 years. You just need to have a certifier for each time frame that has firsthand knowledge of that experience, but it does not have to be consecutive. It could literally be 1 year over 4 different years spaced out, but it just has to be within the last 10 years.
Are calculators provided in the exam? Can you bring notes or books? You can't bring anything into the exam, and everything is touch screen. So all you need, it will be provided to you. What is the process if your application does not accept it due to short of experience? Will you be able to apply again in the future when you continue to complete experience, Ron?
Yes. So if you do not meet the 4 years or 48 months of experience requirement at this time, when you have and can meet that, you can reapply, and the experience that you've submitted, even though it wasn't enough at the time, still counts. As long as it's within a 10-year period and you're 6 months short, You go out, you do the experience for 6 months, you can reapply. You now have the 48 months worth of experience. As long as it's all still within the 10 years when you apply, it will all be counted.
If you perform more of commercial building repairs, will the B classification be more appropriate to apply? Yes, you cannot use B2. Do you know if a general B license can obtain a permit to do a re-roof project, Ron?
The B can do any kind of carpentry or building on its own. If the project requires 2 or more trades, then yes, the B2 could take on that, as long as it is taking on the construction and 2 additional building trades. If it's strictly just re-roofing, that's going to be a C39 roofing contractor.
Okay, thank you. Looks like that's all the questions we have. That's all we have. Thank you for all your questions. If you have any other questions about your applications, we encourage you to drop an email to our licensing division. Here is the email address: licensing@cslb.ca.gov. That's licensing@cslb.ca.gov. If at some point you need to reschedule your exam, you can start the process by emailing exams@cslb.ca.gov. We also put together a list of available resources for women considering a career construction. If you haven't already, be sure to download this presentation. To get them, you can download the presentation. You see a green banner on the top of our homepage, www.cslb.ca.gov. If you are watching the archive video of this workshop on our YouTube page, you will find a link to the presentation down below.
We welcome your comments or topics for future webcasts. Just drop us an email to social@cslb.ca.gov. Special thanks to our Licensing Division and Public Affairs Office for their help on this workshop. The Get Licensed to Build workshop is a copyrighted production of the California State Licensing Board. Thank you for watching.